Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel and to a quick unboxing segment of me getting my new MacBook Pro. I'm really excited that I was able to get this because I've been using my husband's computer for video editing, so it's really nice having my own computer to do video editing on, so I don't have to like coordinate with him since he's been doing more music. I just haven't had as much time to do video editing, so it's nice to be able to do this, and hopefully I can get more videos to you guys than I have in the past now that I have this computer. But anyways, today we are going to do a 3 marker challenge that I found, in which you choose 3 markers at random, and based off of the colors that you pick, you create a character and an illustration. So let's get right into it. So to start off, I'm using Ohuhu markers, and I chose these 3 markers at random, which was really awesome because these are not colors that I usually use, but they actually looked really nice with each other. So that was really lucky because I've seen some videos of where 3 colors are picked and they don't really go well together. So I was really happy about the choices that I was able to make for this. So after swatching the colors, the next step to this challenge is to think about words or topics that the color palette makes you think about. So with the green and the yellow-orange hue that I got, it made me think about like red rock and deserts and cacti and succulents. Normally, like, not things that I would go for and the kind of aesthetic that I like to illustrate. So I tried really hard to think about like something else because I wasn't looking forward to this topic, but I thought it'd be a good challenge. So I started looking up like desert aesthetic photos on Pinterest, and the first things that came up were like cowboy hats, cowboy boots, little like headdresses that you would expect to associate with like uh, Arabic cultures, like in the desert. And I wasn't feeling it. So I erased it, looked up some more like desert aesthetic, and I saw a lot of like girls wearing like headbands, like headscarves rather, and sunglasses, like tank tops that were cropped, and skirts that were like long but like flowy. And so I decided to go with that kind of feel because it felt more exciting to me than like cowboy hats. Even though I'm in Texas, I'm not like a cowboy type person. So I was really happy I found that kind of style, and that's what inspired the character design I started drawing right here. So now I am kind of like color blocking to see how I want the colors to go together on this sketch. What I really should have done is redrawn the character and then color blocked it, because later on this causes some issues where I start doubting myself and how the colors are flowing together, and I have to draw some things on the side. But I did what I did, and it ended up working out just fine. Right here, I'm trying to look for what kind of skin tone I want to go for. At first, I went for this lighter skin tone. I always try to go lighter before I go darker, just in case, like, because you can't really change your mind with the darker, but if you go light to dark, it's easier to like change your mind. So I decided to create a little more contrast, um, especially with the top, that I would go with a darker skin tone, and I absolutely loved it. So I'm really happy I went with that than the lighter one, because yeah, it just created a lot more interest and contrast in my opinion. So now I'm trying to add interest to the clothing because it's looking a little bland. So I added these like red dots to see if it met like what I was wanting out of it, just the interest. And it wasn't really hitting it for me. And so I decided to do little sketches of the outfit on the side to see if maybe like the way I was arranging the colors was the thing that was throwing me off. And honestly, as I did this, I didn't really end up changing the way that the colors looked. Like, I tried experimenting with the idea of putting like the yellow orange as the top, but as I considered that, like with her skin tone, I just felt like it wouldn't have flowed well. I like how the gray top kind of breaks her up. So like you have like the dark and then the light in the middle and then the dark again. And I just felt like that was a little more visually appealing. So I just stayed with like the original colors and instead I decided to add like darker lines on the skirt in order to add more depth. And that seemed to satisfy whatever I felt like was missing in the colors. So now I'm going to create thumbnails for what the illustration will look like. And I just looked up various like pose reference photos on Instagram that I thought were visually appealing and just created like quick gestures. I highly recommend doing this as a regular practice when you're creating illustrations. Instead of just like having one sketch, create like 3 to 4 thumbnails to help convey like your idea. And then as you look at them, see which one maybe like conveys your idea or feeling or just is visually appealing to you, and then you can go from there. I just had like so many times when I created a sketch and thought, oh, this is fine. And then as I get to like the end of like really detailing it, I'm really not liking it and I don't know why it's not working. And I end up just scrapping it and it feels like a lot of waste of time. And this has helped me feel less like get less into like that rut where I feel like I went through all this work and the final sketch just does not look good. So by thumbnailing, I have multiple ideas that I can think it over. Sometimes I throw them like at my friends and say, hey, I have all these thumbnail sketches. Here's what I'm going for. Which one do you think is most visually appealing or gets my idea across the best? And that helps me to just like settle an idea and feel confident about the idea because I tried it in multiple different ways. And it also like helps to do these thumbnails because they're so small. You can't like put so much detail. So you're not really thinking about it too much other than just like the main flow of what you're wanting to present. So they also just kind of take a little pressure off of the sketching and creative process in the beginning. So now that I've chosen the thumbnail I like the most, I'm going to go in and resketch it out so that I can really refine the pose and how it's going to work. I especially want to focus on like what shapes are being conveyed, and yeah, just really make out my detailed sketch so that whenever I do the line art, I can do a lot more cleaner with a better guide than the thumbnail. So now we're at this part where I felt like the final image would need something that was a little more interesting. And so I decided to put like this circle in the back with that had like a yellow color to kind of represent like the sun, because I imagine this character just kind of like basking in the desert sun. And I really liked how it looked with the other colors. Now here's my favorite part of this video. Ooh, so satisfying. I really enjoyed editing that, probably a little too much. But yeah, now I'm going to color this image. The way I got from like the initial sketch to this final line art sketch was that I took a picture of the sketch and I put it into my iPad, and in Procreate I did the line art and then used my iPad as a light box to sketch or trace the line art onto my sketchbook, just so that I wasn't wasting so much paper trying to get clean lines. And right now I am putting down a flat color just to fill up the space and unify the other colors that would be layered on top of it. I really like using this technique. It's something you usually use for watercolor, but markers also just layer on top of each other really nicely. In fact, I feel like they look better when the colors are layered on top of each other, because it just gives a nice depth to the color and the illustration, and again just unifies the whole piece. So I really like using this technique and highly recommend it if you're using markers and watercolor. And now I'm just blocking in the colors. After I colored in the hair, I realized I used the wrong color for the hair. So you'll see me going over that again with a darker brown. But otherwise, there's not much to this next part. I'm just coloring it, enjoying the process, and finishing this illustration. So now I'm going to do the line art to help put in some details. And yeah, this was a really cool challenge for me to do. And if you are an artist and are feeling in a little bit of a funk, I highly recommend doing this, because when I did this, I was just feeling super duper art blocked. Nothing was really inspiring me, and I just did not want to draw because there was no motivation to it. But I need to do things like, especially with designing products from our shop, I can't just like sit around and do nothing. Plus, I mean, making art really brings a lot to my soul. If I'm not creatively doing something, I do feel a little bit stagnant. So yeah, if you find yourself in a just an artist funk that we all get into, but you still want to create something, and I highly recommend trying this. It just helped get my creative juices going because I was approaching creativity in a different way than I did before, and also maybe get out of my comfort zone of drawing something that is not a subject that I really like going into. I really don't like deserts, guys. I'm sorry to those who really love deserts, but I don't. But like looking at photos about the desert aesthetic was just inspiring because it was just not something I usually do. And yeah, but thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I really enjoyed doing this challenge, and if you want to see me do this again, then let me know down in the comments. Or if you happen to watch other YouTube artists and they do like crazy challenges, let me know and I can try them and I'll do them in my next videos. Bye!